My name's John Hill. I'm the guilty party of originally starting up the Bampton Archery Club back in 1996. So initially the first chairman of the club for several years until the club got to a certain size.
I'm Gerald Mills. I joined the club also in 1996 when it first started. John called a meeting at his house, and from there became a member, starting at the Bampton Fields before it had a pavilion, and we shot in the summer period. After some years I became the chairman of the club.
Yeah. John, let's just go back to why did you start it?
Well, it was in the winter of 95 and 96.
That doesn't sort of sound inviting.
It doesn't.
No, it doesn't at all. It sounds terrible.
Oh.
No pavilion there.
No pavilion
Open
there,
fields,
no.
Yeah.
No, I basically answered a call. I saw a poster in Bampton,
Yeah.
and the call, it was saying, does anybody is interested in doing any archery in Bampton, phone this number. So
Who was that?
Well, I'd initially been a member of the Oxfordshire club for many years, but I phoned up the number and it was, I'm not too sure if it's Dave Hawkins.
Oh, David Hawkins.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I think it was David Hawkins who took the call.
Yeah.
Basically, I thought I was phoning up to join the club, but it turns out that Dave and the Bampton Recreational Ground Committee, charity,
Yeah.
wanted several clubs to be started up, and archery was one of the options that had come through.
Right.
So after talking with them and being invited to one of their meetings, recreation ground meetings, and being introduced to Jonathan Phillips, Lord Dunamore, and all the characters as it was then, after a couple of meetings, I'd sort of agreed to start the ball rolling come springtime, and they were prepared to give me a small sum of money to buy some targets.
Yes. So you start off with the field and some targets.
Basically, that's how it started, and a bit of advertising around the Bampton area. So I myself put up posters and said, if anybody was interested, turn up on this night or give me a ring.
And how many did?
I think from my little green book, it was 5 or 6 people showed interest, for the first night, yeah, and which I wasn't really expecting too much more because archery is a bit of a minority sport. But,
Yeah. And were they adults that turned up?
they were all adults, yeah.
Yes. And they had done archery before?
No, basically,
So
they
they're
all
all
were
beginners?
just beginners, yeah. So it was an interesting stage for me because I've just been doing archery as a shooter, but I had a small group of very keen people that wanted to learn how to do archery, so I essentially just began a very impromptu sort of coaching session to get people going.
Because most of us, like me, start off with a bit of wood bent over and don't go any further.
That's right, yeah. Well, I was fortunate to get a little bit of money from, say, the Recreation Ground Committee to start this up.
Yeah.
And because I was already a member of an Oxford club, they'd agreed to loan me some equipment.
The Oxford Club did?
Yeah,
Right.
for 6 months.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was able to actually get a reasonable amount of equipment for the first summer term.
Yes. So, okay, give us an account of how it started, how that first meeting, what you did with
Well-
these 5 people who had never done it before.
Well, yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, it was quite hard work, obviously, because at the time I was the only one that was setting up, and it's not really until the club gets going that everybody sort of mucks in. But I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't too long before everybody became keen, and one of the members had a family himself who, after doing it for a few weeks, got the children involved as well, so that expanded it, and I managed to talk myself to some friends in Whitney. Several friends came over and joined the club as well.
Yes.
The first year there were no fees of any sort. I didn't ask for any money. Essentially it was because it was a charitable sort of donation to get the club going.
Yeah.
And speaking to the Recreation Ground Committee, they were very keen just to see the club get a footing.
Now
and
this is
get going.
1996. What I want to know is, at that stage, do you have all the health and safety worries that people have
Well,
now?
the
Or
first...
has that just come on since then?
No, not necessarily, because the first issue, and in fact, for the first summer, I don't think there was anything in particular. But I was certainly aware of it, and from the following season in '97 we actually took out an insurance policy. So we actually took out
So a
sports
year later.
insurance. That was the following.
Gerald, did you join at that time? Were you one of these people who turned up that evening?
Yes.
Yeah, and were you a beginner too?
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing. Seeing as I see you were so
Um,
cool at it now. Yeah.
Yes, I was a raw beginner. I saw the notice at the end of our lane in Aston
Yeah.
on the notice board, come and join, and I just turned up.
Was he any good, John?
Well, obviously he's progressed
I
from
mean,
a good pupil into somebody who knows what they're doing.
Okay,
now.
could you recognise it then? Could you say, oh, this is a talent?
Oh no, I think
It's just dedication.
You can. There is a great deal of dedication with what Gerald does, but you can tell pretty immediately if somebody's going to be good at archery. There's a technique, and it's instinctive like any sport. And Gerald has it. So.
Okay, can you say what it is?
No, I don't think you can really.
Or you just see
it's-
somebody and you know they've got it?
we do a lot of have a goes, and we have done for many years, and you've shown hundreds and hundreds of people, and occasionally you'll get somebody that pick that bow up and shoot straight into the gold all the time, and you can't explain it. It's just like, with golf or tennis, it's just the natural way of holding something and being aware of what they're doing.
Yes. Watching you the other night, Gerald, it was seeing how stiff I would be turning my head that amount. Whereas you can do it. You can do it very easily, but I would find that very hard, not having done it.
I did have an advantage for the next year, because when it came to the winter session, we had nowhere to go with the Bampton Archery, and I whinged when I was at another job I had at St John Ambulance about not being able to shoot, and one of the girls there, the nurses, said, my husband does archery at the RAF Prize Norton. They do indoor shooting there as well. I rang him up and joined immediately and went on that very night.
Right, okay.
And that's where I got a lot of help in correct technique immediately from one of the ladies' national, RAF national champion.
Right.
So I started off with a very good record.
Yeah. Of course, they've got hangars they could shoot in. Is that where they had it?
Well, they had a range.
They had a rifle range that we went in and shot over the winter period.
Yes.
And having joined that club, I was then member of both clubs.
Yeah.
And I brought some of the knowledge I learned from the RAF club, who had a coach there, to the Bampton club.
Right.
We went along with the Bampton club for quite some time, until we were asked quite a few times, could the children who were wanting to join, and was there a coach in the club? Well, not an official coach, we were just senior members that could shoot. And it was that time that I took up a coaching course with the Grand National Archery Society.
Right. Tell me now, that we're in '97 now, when did the first children come?
From the first year, really.
Was
As I
it?
said, I mean, we managed to get, in that first summer, we managed to get a few families involved.
Yes.
And of course, they brought their children along. So, there was a good, probably half a dozen or so children in that. By the end of the summer, it'd grown to probably somewhere about 12, 16 people. So that gave us encouragement. I was able to sort of report back to the recreation ground committee to say, well, look, it is a minority sport, but they were glad to see that it had taken off.
Yeah.
And because they were in the throes of putting together an application for a lottery for the pavilion, it gave them an extra sort of sport to put on their application form in order to get a pavilion, because part of the pavilion design was to incorporate some indoor shooting range come bowling areas. So for them it was a great interest to see a number of people get involved, and families are always the biggest thing, because I mean even from grassroots we always wanted Bampton Archery Club to be an easy-going sort of club, because most sports can get quite serious. But even today, we do have a level of seriousness, but it's
fun
it's
also.
quite unique amongst local archery clubs to see the mix that we have.
Well, I thought that when I saw your coaching evenings and shooting of balloons and things, and it was fun, but you were also very serious. You were very serious about safety. You were very serious about technique.
Oh,
And you did the coaching course. So you, John, are you also a coach?
I'm not a full level coach, but I have gone through a GNAS 1 week course so my official term is
leadership.
as a leader, as an archery leader. That's right.
Oh, okay.
So that does allow me to show sort of instruct people in the correct manner.
Well, you're a full-fledged, a 2-year course.
It's quite serious.
How full time? I mean, how?
Oh
what
no,
do you,
that once a week.
once a week.
Oh, yes.
I can't even think. I cannot think how you fill once a week in 2 years. You better film it. I mean, do you do things like anatomy
Oh yes.
and physiology and how
Yes.
strains can occur and all this
Yes.
kind of thing?
Well, there's a safety angle with the body as well as with people from
Yeah.
shooting arrows. There's straining muscles, textures, so on.
Yeah.
Um,
Excuse me. I'll just
there's
get my
a-
dog. Come here.
there's a very thick manual, about that thick.
Yes. Okay.
that-
Okay.
that you
It takes
get
you 2
through-
years
you
to
get-
read.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
That's now with another member of our club, Neil Holt, who is at the moment going for an assistant coach
Right.
status. There's a
So
lead-
you're the only coach at the moment.
there are different levels of coach.
Oh, okay. All
There's
right.
a
You better
leader,
tell me this.
an assistant coach, then a coach,
Yes.
and then you go up into the regional coach and national coach levels if you wish to carry on at the coaching ladder.
Okay. And what are you?
Club coach.
Club coach.
I
And
only
you're
want to
a
be
leader.
I'm just the coach.
Yes. And John's a leader.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
We have several leaders in the club. I mean, consequently, we
Yes.
have like 3 or 4 leaders in the club. So
Yes.
I mean, we've all gone through the course.
Yes. And what's the full membership now?
35 to 40
Is it?
members,
Yeah,
Is it?
35 to
Yes.
40, and it's
including the juniors. There's about 12, 14 juniors,
Oh, there, yeah.
yes, and about 20, 22, 24 adults.
But that's been over 30 for many years now,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
quite good. Really.
And how many of the children have gone on to be adult members? Is that quite
Well-
a lot? Is it a large proportion?
I wouldn't
No.
say
No.
no. I mean, there has been the odd one that have carried on, but I mean, naturally, as children grow up, their interests change, and
Yes. And they
So
also go
it's-
off to university.
they,
is that right?
I mean, we do have people that carried on archery, from Bampton. We certainly know that.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, it's like any interest. I think dedication is still there from some, and I think certainly. I mean, I know Vicky went to university, did it there,
Yes.
and one of the lads joined the Whitney Club. I think
Yes,
it's
that's
become a
right.
bit more. So yeah, I mean, it has happened.
Yes.
Some of them have moved to the Windrush Bowman Club because they have a different nature of archery, in that they have field archery, shooting mock animals, pictures of animals in forest conditions, etc. That can be quite exciting.
Yes.
They have long bows and bare bows, Indian flat bows, where we are
Yeah.
more concentrated on what's called a target recurve bow.
Okay. Yes. Yes. That's what I saw with the children stringing up, wasn't it?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Absolutely. And is that what is used in the Olympics?
Yes.
Yes. Because it was quite interesting talking to the children that they said the reason why they joined was they'd seen it on the Olympics.
That's right. The coverage has actually increased. I mean, the last Olympic Games, it was actually very well covered.
Yes.
And I think with Olympics coming as well, it's always gives an interest, I think, to children to see this sort of sport on television and
Yeah.
maybe try it themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, and in reality, we saw a bit of a surge when Lord of the Rings was on and things like that. So when archery comes to the fore in the media sort of thing, you do see a bit of a surge in interest.
Yes.
So-
Lord of the Rings bows, what are they?
I think they were sort of special Tolkien bows, but
they
I
were
mean,
Tolkien bows.
yeah, I mean they're based on recurve bows or even an old-fashioned type of bow. But,
Yes.
obviously, that was of interest. I think there was another film out at the time with bows as well. I can't remember.
Yes.
Robin Hood and
Robin
stuff
Hood
like
would be
over the
it.
years has always incurred sort of interest within archery.
Yes.
So,
And then you get a flurry of membership.
yeah.
Yes. Yes. And have you got any stars in the making at the moment?
Well, we have Neil Holt
Neil
is our star really. He's RAF and he does shoot with RAF Brighton as well, but he's a very active member
Yeah.
And he's probably hovering around top 50 in the country.
Yes.
Is he?
So
That's fantastic.
that is
Yes.
very
That
good.
belongs to Bampton.
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic.
He has shot for Bampton in competitions, which
Yes.
is very good.
Yeah.
We've had guest shooters in the past, including Barry Groves, who's actually a world record holder for distance shooting, who joined us temporarily during one summer, which was nice.
Did he do that as a favour to Bruce Member?
He was
He
a friend
liked
of
you.
mine.
Oh, he's a friend. Okay.
He's a friend, but
I used to shoot with him in the RAF Bryce Norton team.
Yes. Okay.
And he was using a different kind of bow than ours, called a compound bow, which is originate, I believe, American hunting bow.
Okay.
So we were not in the same class of shooting. However, he came along to assist us to try and introduce the compound bow into the Bampton Archery Club. One or two members did buy a
Are
compound
they fearfully
bow.
expensive?
really not overly, I would say.
Oh,
But
No
I mean,
more than a recurve bow.
Okay. Yes. Yes. I know that the weightlifters bought him Precious Mackenzie.
That's right, I remember
You
seeing
know
a
that?
picture. I saw a picture of it in one of the books.
Yes.
books.
Yes. That's right. Yes. Well, I don't know what the equivalent would be for you, because Precious Mackenzie was very well
He was
known.
very well known.
Partly because of his name, perhaps.
It's a nice
Barry's
name.
well known in the archery circles.
Yeah, Barry is a world champion.
Yeah.
Well, a world record.
A world
holder,
record
so
holder.
he's-
Not only that, he took up, I can just mention one thing, he took up the longbow 3 years ago, made an arrows for it, and discovered he'd shot a world record at the weight of the bow he got.
Oh, really?
So
Yeah.
he's really a class act
Yeah. Yeah.
in archery.
Yes. So good to have in the Bampton Club. Yeah.
Oh yes.
We encourage, I mean, as you say, rising stars. I mean, for many years now, we've encouraged to take part in county competitions,
Yes.
and that's increased steadily over the years. And that sort of, for the serious side, introduces some of our better archers into competitions against archers from other clubs. So.
Yeah.
And I've certainly myself have seen great improvement
Yes.
with some of the people that have been shooting there.
Yes.
I mean, so much so that some of them are doing archery 2-3 times a week. I mean, our club only runs once a week, unfortunately. But they've actively gone and shot at other clubs and paid sort of day memberships.
Yeah.
But they still belong to Bampton. They're trying to do this to improve their archery. And you definitely do see an improvement with that.
And are the children competing as well?
Yes. This year, unfortunately, there was no children in the competition,
Oh.
county competitions.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the first time since I introduced them to county competitions that we haven't had anyone taking it out.
What's that to do with?
That's why they didn't do it.
Yes.
We've had a lull in ability, I believe.
Oh.
Those that may well have progressed didn't, and those that are just coming up are not quite ready yet.
There's
Maybe
also
next year.
a reluctance. Sometimes with a competition, it's a bit of pressure maybe, and some children don't like that really. But I mean, 2 or 3 years ago, actually, was it Victoria?
Yeah,
was it?
Victoria
Yeah,
Honour.
she won her class in
Yes,
one of
that's
the
right.
competitions.
Ladies county champion in junior class.
So, we have had
success, yes.
Yeah. But it's very good. It's not an ancient club. I mean, it's a relatively new club, so it's really done
yes.
fantastically well, hasn't it?
Very
Oh,
much.
yes.
Yeah.
It seems to be very securely based now, and also, if I may say so, it's financially secure now at the moment. For the first time, I think, really secure.
This is because you have membership fees.
Yes.
We
You
have
get a grant
membership.
as well.
No.
No, we don't get grants as such. we have looked into that with West Oxfordshire District Council in the past, but
We've had grants to start with. I had half my fees paid for the coaching course by the district council.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been any.
There hasn't been
I
any.
did look into some of the Bampton areas for grants, but were considered. The membership of the club was widely spread and not uniquely
Oh,
Bampton.
okay. Yeah. So sports lottery, no.
The only sports lottery money that's been achieved is through the actual building of the pavilion, which in
Yes.
a way has benefited the club because essentially
definitely.
that's given us an area to shoot in the winter now. So that's given the club a bit more of a as opposed to in the old days we finished at summer and didn't see each other until spring again.
Yeah.
You know, we stayed together and keep in touch.
There's now continuity now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've always been extremely active, really from the early days in doing have-a-go shoots. I mean, obviously with fetes and big shows, through one contact or another we get invited to turn up and get to demonstrate archery. I mean, I've done it in the early days at Bampton Primary School, but consequently through contacts I think Gerald made, we've been doing the White Horse Show for, I would say, 7 or 8 years. So
Yeah.
we've been regulars at the White Horse Show for many years now.
What about have a go in Bampton?
There has never been any have-a-go at Bampton. The only place I've done it has been at the primary school, unfortunately, and I think I did that for 2 years. But,
You did it at the Golden Jubilee, because I had a go
Yes.
up in the field.
That was a one-off, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A
The one-off
at the
Golden Jubilee. The present entertaining people, the round table. We are going to give a have-a-go night, especially for them,
Yeah.
and that's going to be on a Tuesday evening.
But there isn't
This
down
month.
at the pavilion, is there, a have-a-go day for all sports, is there, for the
We
village?
have done that in the past.
Or is that
Yeah.
a one-off as well?
And I
Yes.
think it was mainly a 1 or 2 off.
It was
Yeah.
it was some special Jubilee day, I think.
Yeah, that's
like
right.
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yes.
One of the things about have-a-go, it's a lot of effort for the membership
Yes.
in the preparation. Now, if you have a goes with schools, you have about 2-3 hours maximum exposure to the public, to put it that way, in order to have an income. In the early days, we had as many as 5 have-a-goes, including the White Horse Show, which is a two-day event, and that was to generate income in order to pay the rent for the pavilion, which was a bit of a shock to the club, having not paid anything to anybody for quite some time until the pavilion was built. Then all of a sudden there's a large expense. In addition to that, we were required to join the Grand National Archery Society, which is the governing body in the day,
Another
and that
expense.
then brought in insurance requirement for every member. That brought in regulation. You do not shoot without other members who are not members of the Grand National Archery Society. And so we started on the regulation path. It was after a little while like that I thought I'd better become a coach and learn out what all this is going to be doing to the club.
Is it a disappointment now you're sort of so controlled by regulations, or do you both of you think it's a good idea?
No, it's a good idea.
It's a good idea.
I mean, it's a peace of mind thing, which, I mean,
Yes.
maybe in the early days your enthusiasm to start something new overtakes your thoughts on other issues.
Yeah.
But it was fairly clear, by the time the second year came along, that we needed to really consider ourselves and other people on the field, of course, because
Yes.
archery is a dangerous sport, and no matter what protection you put up, people will still walk behind targets. So that was a peace of mind thing more than anything. But
Have you had any? Have there been any near misses down there?
what with people, no.
No.
Or dogs?
No,
you-
they've run there, but we've always been in control.
Yes. Yeah.
We always tend to take a whistle, and we have whistle codes for action.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
And one of the things that did upset me a little bit was the actual size of the expenses that we had to pay all of a sudden, like for the rent of the pavilion and for the membership of all the club for the Grand National Archery Society. This constituted now about 3,000 a year from nothing.
A lot of money.
Was a lot of
Yeah.
money in the early days. We hadn't got it. That's why we were going into a lot of have-a-go sessions.
Yeah.
And gradually we climbed out of that, and
But now you've got
then
enough
we
members.
restricted that now to White Horse Show and the local Aston and Ducklington fetes, school
Yes.
fetes.
I might have asked you this before, Joe, but what's the membership now? Is it okay for the average family, as you say? The
Cost-wise,
Yes, the membership
Oh, the
for
membership,
costs, I-
£70 per person.
per
Per
person,
person,
which
uh-huh.
for a sport for a year.
On that
Yeah.
form there, you'll see all the costs.
But that does include membership to the Grand National Archery Society, so
Yeah.
that gives you a personal insurance essentially.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's
It's £30, £35 membership to the club and £35 to the national insurance for the Grand National Archery
It's
Society.
actually quite minimal money to the
very
club
small.
because obviously we've got to provide targets and we buy arrows and bows.
Yes,
for
I mean I've seen
newcomers.
from going down there what's
So
involved and that
the majority
huge
of the
safety
money,
curtain as well.
Yes.
the majority of the money is purely made as Gerald has said by the shows,
Yeah.
and we want to continue that even though it is hard work. That's I think the main way we're going to sort of encourage people to keep coming is the fact that we keep the costs as a membership very low. Really.
Because if it's £70 per person, is the junior the same?
No. That's
No.
£30.
Yes.
I think it's 90 for the family membership. Now, these fees were put up at the AGM last year.
Yes.
In order that we shall cover the basic cost of running the club, which is the Grand National Archery Society fee and the rent of the pavilion and the property. So that all the other monies then that come into the club go for developing the club and the equipment. Because it is a equipment-based club. We try to maintain a good quality of equipment and then encourage having done the introductory course, encourage the members to actually, as soon as possible, get their own equipment, which they like to anyway. It's like wearing a suit. Having one on the peg is one thing, but having one fit is rather nice, and they get the benefit and improve their shooting enormously when they buy their own bow and have it fitted to them.
I think the other thing maybe you'd like to mention is we've had a number of friendly competitions set up with local clubs, which I think it stems back from the day because I used to shoot in Oxford with the university club. Because they were so generous in the early days to help us set up, we set up an annual competition between them, which was shooting in the Oxford University one year and then shooting in Bampton the next.
And
so
how does Bampton do against Oxford?
well,
University?
initially very poorly.
For 5 years we were trounced, weren't we?
But gradually the tide has completely turned now, and
Is it?
Bampton is more so the regular victor now. Yeah, so that's been a good step to see over the years, is just the gradual climb, and now that we've got such a good base of archers that we're actually pretty much
who else
beating.
Who else is Bampton compete with?
But then the other club is again through Gerald and with Neil Holt, is the Bryce Norton RAF Bryce Norton club. So we get invited now on an annual basis on the base to shoot against them. And unfortunately, we're in the same situation we were with because it's another level of competition. So they're very good archers there as well. So
Are you moving up or?
we're getting
Get
closer.
closer, okay.
It's getting closer.
So that will be something to celebrate.
Well, it will be one day.
Oh, they're very kind to us. They give us all medals anyway, as is the courtesy of the RAF.
Just now you mentioned when people get their own bow and get it fitted, kitted out
Yes.
for them. Can you explain how a bow is kitted out for a person? Obviously something to do with measurements, height,
Yes.
weight. What is done?
Well, it starts with the length of their arm to the chin, and that's called a draw length, and that makes the size of the arrow. Having got the length of the arrow, approximately with say an inch extra to spare, you add about 40 inches to that, and that's the length of your bow. So if you've got a 28-inch draw length, gentlemen, then you want a 68-inch bow. Having got the bow and the arrow, you now need to get the weight of the bow, how many pounds to pull the arrow back 28 inches. And you can do that just by experience of them having a shot or two with the bow. And I have what's called a bow scale to actually make a positive measurement if necessary, to measure the poundage that they pull to pull the arrow back to their own draw length, not this standard 28-inch where we reference everything from that. So then you'll need to get the arrows to suit that weight. So having got the length, you then need to get what's called the spine of the arrow, or the thickness, bendiness of the arrow to suit that weight of bow. And therefore usually you start with aluminium arrows and wooden handled bow. Nowadays some of them are starting straight away with metal risers, and of course there's carbon risers. The riser is the handle part in which the limbs fit. Having got that far, the next part then, that's got the basics for the bow and the arrows to suit the person. Then of course you need the finger tabs so they don't get forward. Then you need a bracer, they call it, or an arm guard for the other parts. And
it just grows from there.
And then from there you start then getting more sophisticated. That's sufficient to start with. The cost for a beginner, about £200. Because he'll also need a quiver, and he'll need a bag or a bow case to put it in, to keep it neat. He'll need really a sort of T-square to measure the distance of the string from the bow handle, which we'll call the bracing height, to keep that in check, because that's quite important, so that the bow behaves the same every time.
You build up quite a big toolkit of pieces.
Do you?
Yeah,
Yes.
green tights are strictly optional at the end of the day. But I mean, certainly with the coaching, I mean, all of this is initially done by Gerald and the rest of the coaches. But I mean, if you do go to buy your bow, at least you have this information with you already. But generally,
And they've had a try with the club.
yeah, they've had a tryout with the club. They know what they've been shooting, and if they go to one of the many archery shops around the area, they're generally very helpful, and they will set you up with what they think as well, and let you have a try with the equipment before you can buy it. So.
Now, you know, we might show this film at, we sometimes show our short films at Bampton Film Night.
Yeah, that's fine.
So if you were going to make an appeal, if you want more memberships, what would you say? What would you say so that people get enthusiastic about joining? I'll take you in turn. Right, John.
Well, what can I say? I mean, Bampton Archery Club is, as I've already indicated earlier on, is the fact that it offers so much, not just as an individual, it does offer and open the opportunities for a family to enjoy a sport, generally in the beautiful British summertime that we have.
Here we are.
It's a very technically challenging sport. It's not overly physical, but you do test yourself with certain abilities, and it's very encouraging seeing you progress and getting to a level where you feel very comfortable with achieving and shooting your first goal.
You get fine, strong shoulders and strong arms at the end of it.
Surprisingly, strength isn't overly to do much with it, really.
Okay.
It's not advantage if you're Precious Mackenzie or anything like that.
Okay.
It's,
All right, Gerald, you're going to persuade the Bampton public to come in.
Just come and enjoy yourself. We have a family club. It's a very friendly club. You can have, it's all abilities, so there is no question. There's always a little bit of a competition for you to improve on yourself, which is the main feature. The equipment is no more than a mountain bike, so you can set yourself up quite nicely. We do have coaching available, very modest cost, and in fact it's mandatory for anyone who's not reasonably competent archer, for the safety of others in the club. So,
come and join.
Come and
join
join
us.
I mean, what I did is actually, for our 10th anniversary, is I put together a bit of an archive of, because we've been in the newspapers over many years, you know, so going back to '98, and we've been in the Oxford Times and the Oxford Mail. And,
that was gorgeous.
Yeah, I have had. So I
nice
certainly
one.
have many photographs here from various fates competitions. And
One of them, which has got, as when the pavilion opened, there's three of us. Someone came along from that and they took pictures, and they did three of us.
Yes.
Now we have that in colour. That's it. Yes, we have one in
there
colour.
you go.
Fantastic.
So that's from the
That's when
county
the grand
newspapers,
opening of the, and there's the blurb in the newspaper about. In fact, you can see.
Yeah,
that
it's on
one.
the second page. Yeah. I don't think the pavilion was overly
was it.
pleased because that was the main photograph. 'Cause,
Oh, I see.
well, they probably
They ignored
wanted
all
a
the other-
better photograph of.
They wanted
just
one
of
of
the
the
art.
pavilion, but they wanted the archery.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, that was a claim to fame.
Yeah, look, that's a bit more
the
dramatic.
decks there,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, dressing up was optional.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they wouldn't do that. Yeah.
I've got things like Bampton versus the Cherwell. That's John's old club, Oxford.
I noticed that in the newspaper.
Yeah, that's right.
photograph of that,
Cherwell
yes.
Archery Club is.
This was 06.
Have you got pictures of our 10th anniversary on any of these? That was the other thing, because I do have some pictures.
2006.
Yeah, I mean,
Could have. I've got a lot.
How
of
did you celebrate?
we set up a wooden castle with soldiers to shoot at, and there was a fun shoot. We had a barbecue, and it was generally
And it
a
didn't
good
rain.
day. And it didn't rain. It was a gorgeous day. It was
Amazing,
a wonderful
isn't
day. that we had,
Yes,
and,
that's so lovely when it works.
What is on this disc is a bit special. I was asked to give a talk about archery to the Probus Club,
Yes.
the Windrush Probus Club, and it's in a presentation format.
Yes.
But the slides that I put on here that accompany the talk goes into the old archery, because my brief was the longer bow.
Oh, okay. Yes.
And
right.
the other one on here, the brief was then the Bampton Archery Club had.
Yes. Oh, okay.
The bow, in actual fact, is a war weapon,
Yes.
fundamentally.
Yes. It's for
And that-
hunting or killing people. Isn't it?
That's what created a lot of the wars, was to maintain our stocks of arrows, which would be equivalent to sort of fighting a war to keep our oil going, so our machinery and stuff could operate. So we kept our links with the sources of wood on the continent, France, etc., because that's where we grew the wood for all our our arrows.
What was the matter with our wood?
The
Well,
I always
climate's
thought
not
the
climate's not as good.
The yew tree and all that.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
yew tree, but it's pretty much been decimated in this country because of archery, really. Because
I
the number
never
of yew
realised that was the
trees-
reason.
Yeah, well, I mean, the only place you tend to find yew trees now are in graveyards, and I mean, the ones that do exist and may get chopped down for one reason or another are pretty much picked up by archers very quickly.
Oh, really?
So,
And is it a branch of about the right dimension, or is it a slice out of the trunk that you take?
it's, it's quite technical, isn't it?
Is it?
Because
Oh, right. Having
You,
edited.
you select so that the wood appears to be in two parts. There's the sapwood and the hardwood. So you take a billet, as they call it, long enough,
Okay.
6'6",
That's xylem and phloem or something,
Long.
isn't it? Yeah.
and so that you get a compressive type of wood and a tensile type of wood.
So you
Okay.
have one on one side and one on the other surface, so that gives that ability for.
We now, that's natural lamination in effect, because we simulate that now with carbon fibre bows, with carbon laminations and glass fibre on the side, and with a wooden stock. It's 3 levels of lamination now for a modern bowline.
But we, of course, we have all this in our names, like Mr. Archer and Mr. Fletcher. I don't know what other ones. Mr. Bowman, of course.
Yes.
Yeah. Any others? I mean, those 3 spring to mind.
I don't think there's a Mr. Quiver.
Yeah,
I'm sure there are many others. Grand National Archery Society, who I think they've rebranded themselves. now,
Archery UK.
Yeah, I mean, Grand
Yeah.
National Archery Society
Still
was,
archery.
I think, the oldest society in the world, or I think it was one of the oldest societies, which dates back many hundreds of years, you know, to the time where archery was still not just a sport, it was
But important.
a very important part of life, you know, for many reasons. But, you know, it's in the blood and in our history, a big part of our history. Has been for many years. And I'm hoping, well, we've seen a certain increase in popularity over the years, and say it's been more visible on Olympics and in films like Lord of the Rings and things like that. So it's, yeah, I mean, it's getting more popular with the younger
Yes, great.
set, and hopefully they'll keep it up.
It's a challenge of sort of going back to basic skills with using the whole of the body, rather leaving more to the natural world. In fact, there's a large movement now going even back to the long bow, or without all the modern accoutrement of stabilisers and sights. So that's flourishing as well. So this is quite something.
Yeah, back to the traditional ways.
Very-
People want to challenge
they want-
themselves,
yes.
like
Like our forebears did.
That's right. Yeah.
So do you go in for that, John?
I would like to do so now. Yeah, I've got to a point where my archery isn't going to improve anymore. In fact, it's probably on the declining path now. But so when that starts to happen, you look at alternatives and alternative interests in archery, and the old style bow does appeal very much. So.
Yeah.
I'm already down that path. I've made myself a long bow and arrows.
Did you find yourself a piece of yew wood?
No.
No.
It was,
Unfortunately, it's very hard to find you,
You have to
and
sneak into-
expensive as well.
Yeah.
oh yes.
Yes. I'm. From what you say about finding that particular kind of wood, that is not just breaking off an old branch.
No.
No.
No, it's finding a piece of the trunk,
6
isn't
foot 6 is in quite.
And
Quite
yes,
a long piece.
Yeah.
without a knot or anything.
Well,
yeah.
mine's
Some knots.
mine's a match between hickory and lemonwood.
Oh.
And what you do is glue a billet together, a rectangular billet, and then with a spoke shave, you mark out the shape of the bow, and with a spoke shave, you then reduce it to a long bow.
You sit and whittle on a long winter evening.
Right, yeah.
Beautiful.
I'm surprised that the national body hasn't got 3-5 acres of ground and planted it with nothing but yew trees.
Yeah, you would have thought they would do
Suggest it to
something
them.
like that, but I mean, yew trees take many years to grow, don't they?
There's also
But if
the
you don't start,
Yeah.
you're
No,
never going to get
that's-
them.
there's also the thought our climate isn't quite the best yew trees that they come from on the continent. That's
Hot continent or cold continent? I mean, where?
hot European.
the hot European
Oh, okay.
continent.
Mediterranean
Better
yew trees
yeah.
then.
You get some very fine cedars from Canada that make the arrows for longbow, and they're Port Orford cedar.
Oh, all right.
Say that name again.
Port Orford cedar.
Port Orford.
It's very specific, isn't it?
Yes, and I tend to go for the technical materials, man-made materials. At the end of the day, they are superior to what nature has produced in the tree.
But I love the sound of lemonwood and hickory. I mean, it just sounds beautiful.
Yeah,
That sounds poetic.
It's a very nice looking bow, and it's very smooth to shoot.
Yes, and you've whittled it yourself. It's just fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
But I think I showed it you
Yeah.
on one of the evenings. Yes, but I'd still prefer the technology bow, man-made technology bow, if I want to really be serious.
Yes, all right.
So
So you've either got to be serious or poetic, haven't you?
yes,
Yeah.
because if you want to hit something, it's got more chance,
All right.
a lot more chance, both in distance and in accuracy.
Uh-huh.
As we sort of grow steadily, we are then accommodating with developing people's skills in the club to accommodate the newcomers.
Yes.
In the early days, it was a bit difficult. Halfway through the period now, when you got a lot of people coming, and we hadn't got the coaches.
Yeah.
Now we've developed the coaches. From
Yes.
there.
So within the
I got volunteered
organisation now,
to
you-
start with,
yeah, yeah,
and then I said, look, can't do it all myself. So 4 other people have taken on, along with John
yeah.
as well. So we can cope with that nice and steady. But I have found with other clubs, when you get a burst of people coming, they come, and somehow or other it flattens the club a bit, and it takes a bit of time to recover because they can't cope.
Yes, yeah.
Whereas we have managed to accommodate and develop the equipment along with the growth of the club membership.
So what you need is a trickle, isn't it? Not a,
Yes.
It
not a
is
great
a
rush
trickle.
of people.
Yes,
Because we-
about 8 at a time,
Okay.
every 2 months.
I would say
Well, we
there's a
better
good,
mention that when we show the share the film.
Well, we limit the training course, the introductory course, to 8 people per
Yes.
session, and there are 6 sessions, 6 weeks, 6 sessions,
Yes.
which gives the basics and the etiquette and the care of equipment and technique of shooting, and that is because we usually do that indoor in the pavilion now rather than outdoor. It's constant. You only need the 15 yards anyway to shoot at that point.
That's what we watched and filmed, isn't it?
That's
with
correct.
the children.
And we find that more satisfactory. At one time I did take more people in the earlier days outdoor to the targets, but they didn't get the quality of the course that we now deliver. I've got one junior already booked up and paid for the September course,
Yeah.
which we've only just started to sort of announce that it's going to happen.
Yeah. Good.
We usually get quite one or two people to fill that course from the White Horse Show.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you do the shows, you open yourself to
Yeah.
the public. And,
Yeah.
it does
I'd
bring people.
much rather have a quality course with a group of people who are really wanting to learn to shoot than have a wide... That's what the have a goes are for the wide population, and just have a go. We're not interested in really coaching them for archery or teaching them to do archery properly or anything, just safely. And whatever they're comfortable with, they do. If they want to actually do archery, then they will come to the course of their own volition. I don't want to press gang people too much or persuade with too much advertising. It's counterproductive. They turn up, you spend the time, and then they disappear and don't see them again.
But that group that we watched actually stayed on, didn't they?
All of
that
them.
lot. Yes, that was very
All
good.
of them
I'm glad we
joined
saw
the
a good
club.
group then.
Yes,
Yeah.
you did. You saw the best group we've had yet.
Oh, look at that. Weren't we lucky?
Yes.
I suppose you want to finish on something. I mean, this summer we see our first marriage. Actually.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
A marriage of
Oh,
two
yes.
archers.
A marriage
Yes.
of two archers.
Cupid's
It's
bow.
taken 11 years to happen. But
Yes,
Really?
it has.
Uh,
Yes.
But yeah, they're getting married in August, and they met each other through archery.
So not only a sports hub, but a dating
Oh,
It's
agency
a,
as
it's a
well.
dating agency. I wouldn't say
Yes.
it's speed dating as such, but I mean it's taken
It's
a while
secure.
to get there. It's-
Very secure and solid.
Right. Good. That's
Yes.
very good. Yes, that's a nice way to end. Thank you.